Hi, my name is Mark Parkinson, and I'm the President and CEO of the American Healthcare Association and the National Center for Assisted Living. And I'm here today to give you a recap on 2019 and, really more important, talk about what's ahead in 2020. The good news is that together we had a pretty good year in 2019, and I really want to emphasize together because we now represent over 14,000 buildings across the country and in all 50 states. And that's a very big deal because individually none of us could win, but together we become a pretty strong force in our state capitals and here in DC. So let me get right into 2019 and give you an update on Medicaid, Medicare, and then assisted living. First, on the Medicaid side, there's really very little to report. As we thought, with the divided outcome in the 2018 election, they did not take Medicaid up in a significant way on the Hill, so good news, no problems with Medicaid. Instead, all of the action this year was on Medicare. For the 8th year in a row, we achieved our clean market basket increase. This year, it was 2.4%, and that kicked in on October 1. Of course, it was a 2.4% increase on an entirely new system, PDPM. And I think there's good news with respect to PDPM as well. We came into the year with our critics saying, oh, the SNFs will never figure this out, especially the independent owners. But I think we've proved them wrong. With the PDPM Academy, we trained over 11,000 members across the country. And when October 1 rolled around, it looks like you were ready. Now, we're only 3 months into the new system, but it looks like it's working well for us. And more important, it's looked like it's working well for the residents. And so on PDPM, the news is all good. Finally, with respect to assisted living, also a good year. Scott and his team were once again successful in fighting off federal regulation. There's more talk about it on the Hill than ever. And also of great importance is that once again, assisted living had a record number of members going through the quality award programs, with the quality numbers continuing to improve. All in all, 2019, pretty darn good year. 2020 will be challenging. Now, I know you're probably thinking, oh, Mark, you always say the next year is going to be tough. But let me tell you, 2020 really is going to be a tough year. There are 3 things that we absolutely have to win. The board sets out a number of goals, but we know there are 3 areas that we've got to win. First is our 2021 payment rule. Around May 1 of 2020, CMS will announce our payments under post-acute payments starting on October 1 of 2020 and for the next year. This is important because it will be the first time that CMS will issue a rule with PDPM. Our critics are already saying that we should be cut, that there should be changes made to PDPM, and that the gains that we have made and that residents have made should be taken away. We're not going to let that happen, and so fighting on your behalf and fighting for the gains in PDPM are a top-tier issue. Issue 2 that we must win is Medicaid. Even though there wasn't a Medicaid threat in 2019, there really is in 2020. In early November, the administration issued a proposed rule that would significantly reduce our ability to use provider assessments and to use intergovernmental transfers. On the provider assessment side, the rule would provide that if your state has a waiver, if it excludes any class of buildings from paying the provider assessment or for paying at a reduced rate, the provider assessment is no longer valid. This would have a devastating impact in a little bit over 20 states. On the IGT side, the rule would essentially eliminate the programs in Indiana, Utah, and Texas, and really have a very negative impact on providers in those states. We know that we must win on this rule, either stop it, shape it, or delay it. And so as soon as it came out, it became a top-tier issue for the board and a top-tier issue for us in 2020. Finally, we know we must win the assisted living issues. There is more talk than ever about federal regulation. Just a couple of weeks ago, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who's running for president, issued a detailed proposal that would actually regulate assisted living at the federal level. We know we have to stop it. So those 3 issues will dominate 2020. Now, I often have providers ask me what they should be doing. And I would give you advice in 3 areas that I would be working on if Stacy and I were still operating our buildings. First, I would continue to work on PDPM. PDPM is not going to go away. CMS appears to like it, and it looks like it's working. What we know from 2019 is that our members that prepared for PDPM are doing quite well with it, and folks that didn't prepare are really struggling. We want to be your partner in this, so we're shifting our 2019 PDPM Academy into our 2020 offering. It will include calls, webinars, and even in-person meetings. We encourage you to register and be part of the AGA NCAL PDPM 2020 Academy. The second thing I'd be working on is quality. Quality isn't just the right thing to do for our residents, it's the right thing to do for our businesses. Clifton Larson & Allen, an accounting company, recently did an analysis where they tried to figure out what was the profitability of buildings based on their 5-star rating. It's not surprising that the most profitable buildings in the country are 5-star, 4-star are less profitable, 3-star are less profitable than that, and that goes all the way down to 1-stars that are actually losing money. This corroborates what we found with our Quality Award program. Our Silver and Gold Award winners do better on every metric: less bad debt, higher occupancy, higher overall margins. Quality is the right thing to do. And again, we want to be your partner. There's an easy way for you to do this, and that's continue to be involved with our Quality Award program, where already almost 5,000 of our buildings have gone through the program. We encourage you to go through it as well. We'd also encourage you to come to the Quality Summit in March, where 400 or 500 of your colleagues who are the most committed to quality will be there to look at advances that we can continue to make. The third thing that I would encourage you to do is to get involved. As I said at the very top, we can't win any of this stuff on our own. We have to do it together. And there's a couple of different ways that you can help us. One is through facility tours of legislators and members of Congress. Incredibly effective, and we will partner with you to get them in your buildings. I would also encourage you to consider coming to Congressional Briefing, which is held in early June, where 400 or 500 of your colleagues will be here to make our case on the Hill. It's always an exciting couple of days. It re-energizes me. It really helps us up on the Hill, and it would be great if you could come. Finally, I want to say thank you. Thanks for being members, but really more important, thanks for what you're doing in your buildings. Just last Saturday, Stacy and I sat with her mom in a dementia facility back in Kansas that we actually built. And as I watched the CNAs interact with her mom and really all of the residents, it was just a reminder of how incredibly important this work is. Their acts of kindness, the compassion that they showed the residents, really reminded me of the years that we spent in our buildings and the work that you do every single day. Unfortunately, there are people in DC and in our state capitals who would make that work impossible. By cutting our reimbursement or imposing regulations upon us that take away patient-centered care, they would take away the beautiful things that I saw taking place in that building last Saturday. We're not going to let that happen. It's just way, way too important. So on behalf of the 90 of us here at AGA NCAL and the hundreds of people that work with our state affiliates across the country, thank you so much for this honor to represent you and to fight for what you do. We hope that you've been able to have a restful holiday season, and now let's go into 2020 working together to continue this great battle.